is Saturday, March 16th, and I just want to welcome you again to another vlog by me, Heather. For those of you who are checking this out for the first time, welcome. For those of you who are coming back, thank you for coming back. For those of you who are just tuning in for the first time, this is not like a traditional style vlogcast. I do shorter videos throughout the course of the week. I call it a vlogcast because there's shorter vlogs throughout my week. I find I just don't really have a lot of extra time to devote to making a full-fledged podcast. I will say, too, I don't do formal show notes, but if there are particular patterns or yarns that I make reference to throughout the course of this vlog, I will put them down below here on YouTube. So you can just go see those links there. So I am Heather. For those of you who are just joining me, like I said, welcome. I am a United Methodist pastor of 2 small member rural churches in western mid-Michigan. This is my first appointment. I am in the course of going to seminary to get my Master's of Divinity because I'm seeking ordination. And I did want to just take a quick moment to address the general conference that was held by the United Methodist Church a couple of weeks ago. I did vlog the week kind of after all of that was over, but it was still pretty fresh and pretty raw and pretty emotional, so I wasn't really able to speak to that. This was a special conference held by our entire denomination, which is a global denomination. So there are United Methodist churches all over the world, Europe, Asia, Africa, you name it, there's a United Methodist Church there somewhere. So that can create some conflict culturally with certain things, because there are some things that are culturally acceptable in the western part of the world that are not culturally acceptable in, say, Africa or Eastern Asia. So that creates some challenges sometimes. Our current challenge comes surrounding the issue of human sexuality, specifically looking at LGBTQ clergy and performing same-sex marriages. The position of the United Methodist Church going into the General Conference was that United Methodist clergy could not perform same-sex marriages, and LGBTQ clergy were not supposed to be ordained. However, given the way that the culture and world has been adapting, there were certainly conferences within the United Methodist Church that kind of overlooked those rules. This general conference was to address those issues. There were 3 plans put forth to be voted on by the delegates. One was called the traditional plan, which maintained the current stance on human sexuality, and in fact sought to tighten the regulations and the punishments for those who disregarded the rule. There was a plan called the Way Forward, or the One Church Plan, that's what it was, the One Church Plan, which was put together by the bishops of the United Methodist Church, that would basically say it was up to the conference whether or not they would ordain, and it was up to the individual churches and clergy as to whether or not they would perform same-sex union. This was an attempt to maintain the united aspect of the United Methodist Church and recognizing that we are a diverse church, but we still all stand together under the same basic tenet of our belief in Jesus Christ. The third plan was the I can't remember what that was called, but it was basically a plan that said everybody is included across the board. You know, you get to be ordained no matter what conference you're in, no matter where you are, you can perform same-sex marriages. Everyone is included. So those were the 3 plans put forward. Unfortunately, the plan that passed was the traditional plan, and it was done in such a way that has created a lot of divisiveness, a lot of hurt, a lot of pain among people within the United Methodist community, specifically those who are LGBTQ and their families. Due to the fact that I am a pastor in a rural area, I am going to make the choice to not specifically disclose my view I will say that I supported the one church plan that would maintain our unity while celebrating our diversity. That was what I thought was probably the best way. So regardless of where you fall on this issue, there is a lot of pain, there is a lot of hurt. I feel pretty upset and pretty hurt by it for reasons that I won't go into, but it's been a challenge, and it's been a challenge on knowing where do we go from here. And there's still a lot of uncertainty. The plan that was passed is being sent before our judicial council, which is kind of like our court in the Methodist Church, to determine the constitutionality of a lot of the language in that plan. So there is that. There are also there's some hints of some ethics violations that took place within the voting. So that's a little bit upsetting as well. So there's a lot of uncertainty, and we don't know where we're going to go going forward. But I'm trying to continue just to do the work that I am doing, and wait to make a decision once we know what's really going on, to make a long story short. So that being said, enough with that. This week is kind of a moderate week. Last week was insanely busy. I had papers due. I had meetings every week, every night. It was really crazy, really busy. This week will be a little bit more calm, hopefully. That's always a relative term. It is the season of Lent, which is the season preceding Easter, when those in the church reflect on Jesus' time spent in the wilderness. So it's like a 40-day period of kind of self-reflection and fasting and things like that. So we are in that period of time. I am leading a small group, so that adds to the busyness of the schedule. So I haven't gotten a ton of knitting done in the last week or so. I do have 2 projects on my needles right now. Both of them you would have seen if you tuned in last time. The first one is a pair of socks that I finished the first sock, and I don't remember if I showed it last time or not, and I don't have any sock blockers over here, so I'll just hold it up. But this is the sock. These are the bundled up socks by Mina, Phillip, the knitting expat. It's a really fun pattern that creates these kind of bubbly bobbles. The yarn that I am using is from Legacy Fiber Arts, and it's the Great Knittish Skein Off, which was a set of 5 20-gram minis, and this one was the one from December. That's the first sock. I have turned the heel on the second sock, and I have not really gotten all that far on the foot. These do knit up really quickly when I actually have the time to stop and knit them. My progress keeper is a little bagel and cream cheese that's getting turned around from Sucra Miniatures. That's really cute, and I really like it. I needed something that was a baked good, and oddly enough, I don't have a lot of baked goods. A lot of my charms are Harry Potter themed, and they're not really a lot of baked goods. So a bagel is kind of a baked good. It is a baked good. It's just not a classic pastry or what you would think of necessarily. So that's where I'm at with those. And then the other thing that I cast on, because I wanted something that was a little bit more engaging to knit, something that, you know, I had to really kind of pay attention to, and that was going to be something really kind of stunning. And so I cast on the Whakairo cowl by Aroha Knits. So that's Frenchy, for those of you who do not know. And I have been making progress on this, but this is one of those knits where I have to pay attention to every row and every stitch, because there's not like an intuitive repeat or anything like that. But the effect is really cool, and this is where I am at so far. So it is this really, really beautiful cabled lace motif that is just absolutely stunning. And this yarn is, I picked up at a trunk show from Why Not Fibers, which is a indie dyer here in Michigan, and it's a merino nylon, but it is a super high twist. Well, I don't know if it's a super high twist. It's a high twist, so it's giving this amazing stitch definition as I am knitting this up. The progress keeper is a pygmy puff that I believe is from Simply Serving. This was part of one of Molly's Harry Potter yarn and charm clips. So this is the cake. You can kind of, I don't know if it'll let you see the high twistiness of it. It's not gonna focus. Anyway, this is the cake. The colorway is called Echo, and I really recommend trying them out. This is like, it's got this beautiful sheen to it. It is like super, the drape is fantastic and amazing, and this has just really been, you know, I only knit maybe a row or two a day because I just don't have a lot of extra time, but it has been it just really has been speaking to me a lot. So those are my 2 knitting projects that I am on. If you are just turning in for the first time, I usually show these at the beginning of the week, and then I show kind of where I've come by the time we reach the end of the week, and it's kind of a way to mark my progress throughout my knitting projects. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it there for right now. This evening at one of my churches, we're having a wild game dinner in which most of the dishes feature wild game, so things like venison or elk or some like fish that have been caught by the people themselves, anything that you would hunt. So it's very interesting, kind of indicative of the rural culture that I am in. And so I'm going to be heading off to that in just a couple of minutes here. And yeah, so I'm going to have some interesting food this evening. So I will check in with you guys again later in the week. So it's Sunday, March 17th, and I am sitting in my car waiting to get Phillip back from his dad. This has proven to be kind of some unexpected things happened this weekend. I was at my dinner for my one church last night, and I got a phone call from my brother saying that my mom was taking him to the emergency room because he was vomiting up blood. So since he called me, and my brother has special needs, and the fact that he called me made me think that this was something I needed to go. So I left my dinner a little bit early and I headed over to that. And when I was there, it seemed like the blood was maybe just caused by irritation in his esophagus because he had been ill and throwing up most of the day. So once it seemed like that was the case, I left and came back home, but I told my mom, call me if anything changes. Well, I got a phone call at about 2:30 this morning that he had gone into AFib. So they kept him overnight, and the medications to keep him to try to get his heart back to normal rhythm were not working. So I have spent all afternoon at the hospital. The good news is that his heart returned to a normal rhythm, and if it stays that way, they're going to repeat the EKG that they did in the morning. And if it stays that way, he will not have to have a procedure which is called cardioversion, which is where they shock your heart basically to bring it back and try to get it back into rhythm. So hopefully that's how it stays, and he will not have to have that done, and he'll be able to come home tomorrow. So I had to leave because I had to meet Phillip's dad to get him back. So that is what I am doing right now, sitting in the car in a McDonald's parking lot waiting for them, and trying to knit a little bit on some socks in the meantime. So yeah, it's been a really long day. Snoozing in the sunbeam, I thought I'd show you my table and chairs that were delivered at the end of last week. I'm really excited to have them, and they are so beautiful and I love them. Although now I'm kind of afraid to actually eat on the table because I don't want to ruin it. So I think I'll be looking at placemats, certainly for the kids to eat and I to eat on, possibly a tablecloth, but it's hard to put a tablecloth because just look at how beautiful that wood is. How can I put a tablecloth on that? It's Tuesday now, March, I'm not sure what the date is, 19th, maybe? Yeah, that sounds right, March 19th. This is a busy week. Yesterday was kind of busy, too. I had a small group in the evening. My brother, for those of you who are curious, kind of an update on how all of that is going, is still in the hospital. His heart went back into normal rhythm, but now he has pneumonia. I did talk to him very briefly this morning, and he's feeling a lot better, and his fever is gone, so we're hoping that he will get to go home today. So today, I have a really full day, and I just put Phillip on the bus, and I am going to head to the gym and try to squeeze in a workout, because it has been a long time since I've been able to get in a workout. It's probably been 6 weeks, which is really sad. It's just been really hard to prioritize that, and I need to be better about that because, I feel so much better being able to work out and being able to exercise, and I think that will help with my energy level as well, and maybe my appetite, because I have not been very hungry lately, which is sad because I really like food. So I'm going to go to the gym, and then I have another small group this morning. I work regularly with a counselor because there's a lot to handle with everything that I do and just the way things are kind of laid out in my life. So I work regularly with a counselor, so I'm seeing her today, and then I have a meeting at one of my churches tonight. That's kind of how the whole week is. There's something going every single day, every night. It gets very tiring, but so is life. It's also very rewarding. I don't want to complain because what I do is very rewarding and very satisfying and very fulfilling. So I don't want to complain too much about it. All right, so I am off to the gym. I'm going to try and work out, which will be great. And then off to meetings like all day long. So I hope you're all having a great week so far. And I'll talk to you later. Hi everyone, it's Wednesday now, March 20th, and it is officially the first day of spring. And for the first time in a really long time since I can remember, it kind of seems like spring here in Michigan. Most of the snow has melted except for some of the giant piles. Those still kind of linger. And yesterday I saw little tiny, very tiny buds on the trees, which makes me really excited because that is kind of a sure sign of spring. We have had robins come back. People have seen red-winged blackbirds. My mom saw 2 bluebirds. And those are all signs of spring. In Michigan, when we see robins, we get really excited because that means that winter is coming to a close. Now, sometimes there are crazy robins that show up way too early, but I am seeing enough of them that I feel really good about maybe spring is going to be here before too long. Chances are we are going to get another hard freeze and snow, but it won't last very long. So it's like the end is in sight, which is awesome because this was a really rough winter. It was only really 2 months, but they were really brutal 2 months. So I'm glad we're kind of coming to the end of that. That makes me feel good. It makes me just feel more energized and more positive in general. But I wanted to show you, last night I finished my bundled up socks. So I have an FO. Woohoo! I haven't had one of these in a little while. It's just, they're so hard to get knitting time. So these are the bundled up socks. They don't really match, but they kind of do. But that's okay because I really like that aspect of them. So the pattern is called Bundled Up. It's from Mina Phillip. It was from her cozy collection of socks that she did last year. And the yarn is from Legacy Fiber Arts. I think I said all of this earlier, but I'm saying it again. I'm sorry for repeating myself. It's Legacy Fiber Arts and the Great Knittish Skein Off. So it was 5 20-gram minis in all of these beautiful colors. And these are perfect spring socks, and they make me feel really springy. And even the pattern kind of makes me think of Easter eggs. Or if you feel it, it kind of feels like bubble wrap. I recommend this pattern a lot. It does require a little bit more of a intermediate kind of stitch. So if you're brand new to sock knitting, maybe not quite yet, but if you're feeling adventurous, you could give it a try. They knit up really quickly when I actually could take the time to sit and knit on them, which is always a problem. So yeah, these are done, and I'm really excited about that. Now I am off to my weekly coffee shop time, where I work at a coffee shop and try to interact with people in the community, which as an introvert is not easy to do, but something that's necessary. So I'm off to do that, and then I have a meeting at one of my churches this afternoon, and I get to chill tonight, so that will be awesome. So I will talk to you guys a little bit later. Hi guys, it's Friday now, March 22nd, and I'm really excited. I just got home from a little shopping trip to Best Buy. Now, I have been having major issues with my laptop. Well, not major issues, they're just annoying. In that my touchpad, something is funky with the touchpad, and I'll be typing and my cursor just kind of will jump all over the place, and then it'll like delete stuff, and it's very frustrating when pretty much 90% of what I do on my laptop is type, because I'm writing papers, or I'm writing sermons, or I'm making forum posts, or I'm sending emails. Like, that's pretty much what that computer is for. So the fact that was this major issue was really problematic. And it didn't matter if I was using the mouse and I disabled the touchpad, none of that made a difference. It still was going all over the place. I've also had this laptop for about 2 years. It was a new to me laptop, but it was not a new laptop. So it was probably at least a year or two old when I got it. So it was just kind of starting to be a little bit outdated. And I really needed something. The other thing is it's big and it's heavy, which I needed something to be a little bit more portable, especially as I'm going to be going to school in June for 2 weeks. And if I want to take it somewhere to work, it's just really inconvenient to have a big clunky laptop go around with you, because I have to put it in a special case, and it's a really nice case, but put all together probably weighs like 20 pounds, which is a lot to lug around, and that doesn't even include any materials that I might need to bring with me. So I've been doing a lot of researching, trying to decide what I want. I already made one trip to Best Buy and played with stuff, and I decided to make the switch, and I got a MacBook Pro. This is my first Mac, which is a little scary because I've always kind of been a PC person, but I decided to make the switch for, there are several reasons, but one of the best features was that you can have multiple desktops open, so that I can have one desktop that just focuses on church stuff, I can have one desktop that just focuses on school stuff, and I can have another one for like personal things. So that was really the big selling point for me on it. And I was looking at MacBook Airs, but then MacBook Pros were on sale this week, and I decided to just bite the bullet and go for it. And I'm super excited. That was my dog, I'm sorry. And I'm super excited, and I'm going to open it up, and I am going to do some playing before I have to get kids, so yay! Hi everyone, today is Saturday, March 23rd, and I am giving this a try on my new toy, my new Apple MacBook, which I am having a lot of fun with, and I'm really pleased and really happy that I made this purchase. It's really been a lot of fun. But I did want to wrap up this week's vlog by showing you my knitting progress for the week, and just kind of checking out and signing out, and yeah, and just kind of wrapping it all up for the week. So This is like my normal caveat right now for all weeks, is that I didn't have a lot of time. I did show you earlier in the week that I completed my bundled up socks, so I'm not going to show those again. I did pull back out the socks that I was knitting for David, which are just a pair of plain vanilla socks. And I did finish the first sock, which is this, and it looks gigantic. I'm so used to my small feet, but you can kind of see, if I get the light just right, it's kind of a micro striping pattern of like dark blue and black stripes. So it looks black from back here, but there is some micro striping going on, which he really likes. The yarn is from Knit Picks. It's their stroll base, and the colorway is called Inverness. And I am not really very far on the second sock, just like kind of halfway through the cuff, so not super far on that one. And he's kind of like, well, it doesn't matter now because it's almost spring and I won't be wearing them till the fall anyway. So there's no big rush, but I would like to get them finished because I do have some yarn to knit some socks for the kids that they're kind of looking forward to. So I would like to be able to do that for them as well. Then the other thing that I've been working on is my Whakairo cowl, and so this has been my progress on this. So this is coming along quite well. This is where I was at the beginning of the week, so I haven't done a ton of work on it. It's just hard because this one does really require a lot of thought. Every row is different, every stitch is different, and while there is like there is a pattern, you still have to pay attention. Otherwise, it gets messed up. So this is the beautiful pattern. The pattern is from heatheredknitz, Frenchie. So it's just, and it has some of her heritage in it. So if you go to the pattern page, which I will link below, it talks a little bit about her heritage and the meaning behind the shawl. And I'm going to leave that to her because I'm afraid I will not do it justice. But I highly recommend her and her patterns. She's a wonderful designer and does a lot of really good work in the knitting community, so I couldn't recommend her more. So that's how knitting has been going so far. So we're getting there, slow and steady. And this week has been, busy as usual. Next week won't be quite so bad. So I'm gonna sign off for now. I will not see you next week, but I will see you back in 2 weeks. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this little bit of a glimpse into my day-to-day life, which is not really the most exciting at the moment. It's just busy. And so I thank you so much for checking me out and for watching, and I will talk to you again in a couple weeks. Have a good one. Bye.